It all began on an ordinary evening in a quiet corner of a luxurious restaurant. The billionaire sat at his table, pen in hand, ready to sign what was being hailed as one of the biggest deals of his career. The air was thick with confidence and anticipation, his advisors nodding eagerly beside him. But just as he lifted the pen, a soft voice broke through the noise. The waitress, nervous yet determined, leaned closer and whispered, "Don't sign that." For a moment, everything froze. He looked up, puzzled, almost amused. Who was she to interrupt something of this scale? Yet there was something in her tone, something urgent and sincere, that made him pause. It was a moment suspended in silence, the kind that tests instinct over intellect. And that single whisper changed everything that followed. Most people in his position would have brushed it off. A billionaire, surrounded by experts, hardly expected to take advice from a waitress. But in that split second, something within him chose to listen. It wasn't logic, it was intuition, the quiet voice that reminds us that wisdom doesn't always wear a suit or come from a boardroom. Sometimes it comes from those who simply observe, who notice what others overlook. The waitress had no power, no influence, just courage, the courage to speak when it mattered most. And he had the humility to hear her out. That moment was more than just an interruption. It was a reminder that success is not measured by how loudly we speak, but by how deeply we listen. In that act of listening, the billionaire unknowingly opened the door to truth. When he finally asked her what she meant, her hands trembled as she explained. She had overheard parts of a conversation between two men at the next table, the very men involved in the deal. They spoke of hidden clauses, quiet payoffs, and a plan to strip him of control once his signature was on the paper. It was a setup disguised as an opportunity. For a moment, disbelief clouded his mind. How could this stranger know something his entire legal team had missed? But the sincerity in her eyes was undeniable. He excused himself from the table, called his advisor aside, and began to question every detail. Within hours, the truth surfaced. Everything she said was real. That whisper, that moment of courage, had saved him from a betrayal that could have destroyed his empire. Sometimes the truth comes from the least expected places. In the aftermath of that revelation, the billionaire faced a defining choice: to react with anger or to respond with wisdom. Every instinct told him to confront those who had plotted against him, but instead, he chose restraint. He reviewed the documents quietly, uncovered the deception fully, and made the decision not to sign. It wasn't just a business move, it was a moment of integrity. In a world where pressure often pushes people toward impulse, he chose patience and principle. He realized that real power lies not in signing deals but in knowing when not to. The restraint he showed that day protected not only his wealth but his name, his legacy. And in that silence, as he walked away from the table, he understood that true success isn't built on cleverness alone, but on character. In the days that followed, he couldn't stop thinking about that moment. Not about the deal he almost signed, but about the waitress who had the courage to speak. For all his billions, it struck him how fragile success can be, how easily it can all crumble if we lose perspective. He realized that true wealth isn't measured in assets or influence, but in awareness, in recognizing the value of honesty, humility, and human connection. So he returned to that restaurant, not as a billionaire, but as a man who had been reminded of what truly matters. He thanked her personally, not just for saving his fortune, but for grounding him again in reality. It was a gesture of gratitude that went beyond words, a silent acknowledgement that sometimes the richest lessons come from the simplest souls. That single act of courage didn't just change the billionaire's life, it changed hers too. News of what happened spread quickly, and people were inspired by her honesty. The billionaire, deeply moved, offered her a new beginning, not out of pity, but out of respect. He helped fund her education, opening doors she had never imagined possible. But beyond the headlines and gestures, something far greater had happened. A ripple effect. One whisper had sparked countless conversations about integrity, awareness, and courage. People began to see that doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, can alter destinies. It proved that impact isn't about volume, status, or wealth. It's about the courage to act when it matters most. Her voice may have been quiet that night, but its echo reached far beyond the walls of that restaurant.